right, so what's going on? I wanted to do another video, something that I kind of am late on, but it is what it is. Just update on Damar Hamlin. He is out of the hospital. Continue praying for him and his recovery. Um, Not sure if he's ever going to be able to play again in the league. If he does, kudos to him. If not, I think that he's going to be well taken care of. His entire story is just something that really hit a lot of people, even people who didn't even watch football. Just the fact that he is able to live to tell the story is already a blessing, and happy to see that he's alive and in the living. But that's not what I'm here. So through all the thoughts and prayers that were going on, we had people who wanted to make this an issue about things unrelated to the fact that this man was fighting for his life. We had the people that were out here basically trying to question his status of his shots. Was he, or not, which again, irrelevant. We had people talking about the game when that was irrelevant. And now we have this one here. This is from the Scientific American by Tracy Canada. She posted this on January 6th of this year. And the title is Damar Hamlin's Collapse Highlights the Violence Black Men Experience in Football. Okay, let's go ahead and read through this, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts and everything. So millions of people will watch as Damar Hamlin, a 24-year-old player in the NFL, executed a seemingly routine tackle during a highly anticipated Monday Night Football game. Immediately after, Hamlin rose to his feet and then collapsed. Players from his team, the Buffalo Bills, and the opposing team, the Cincinnati Bengals, created a tight huddle around him on the field. As medical personnel tried to revive him, we learned the next day that Hamlin suffered a cardiac arrest. His heart had suddenly stopped working. The scene was horrific for both its irregularity and exceptionality. Matt Gutman of ABC tweeted as much. The scariest part of this is that the hit was in fact not scary. It looked terrifyingly ordinary. The ordinariness of men running into each other at full speed represents a normalized, even rationalized violence that is routine to this American game. This ordinary violence has always riddled the sport and it affects all players, but black players are disproportionately affected. Whoa. You know what? No, I'm gonna continue reading. While black men are severely underrepresented in positions of power across football organizations, such as coaching and management, they are overrepresented on the gridiron. Non-white players account for 70% of the NFL. Nearly half of all Division I college football players are black. Further, through a process called racial stacking, coaches racially segregate athletes by playing position. These demographic discrepancies place black athletes at a higher risk during play. As a cultural anthropologist, I've spent the last decade learning how black college football players navigate the exploitation, racism, and anti-blackness that are fundamental to its current system. I know that it's not new to highlight the inherent violence of American football. This sport requires exceptional athletes who are otherwise ordinary men to perform extraordinary feats on the field. We liken these men to gladiators and warriors. The league's organizations, teams, coaches, spectators, and fans who benefit from the performance expect them to tough it out when they get hurt and applaud them when they play through these injuries. Football is a spectacle where excessive violence is mundane because hits that cause injuries are a constant occurrence, and spectators are desensitized to it. Consumers of the sport assume players will withstand any body affront, so they are shocked when the player's physical limits are exceeded. Often on very public stages, people with a vested interest in professional football rationalize excessive violence in this structured space, as well as the ones that encompass college, high school, and Pee Wee play, all because they assume that rules, equipment, and regulations exist to prevent death. But this is a false perception. While this form of entertainment has been normalized, Hamlin's injury demonstrates that ordinary violence has a potentially deadly consequence and highlights how black men's athletic labor sustains this brutal system. All right, we got 2 more paragraphs. On these playing fields, ones that sociologist Billy Hawkins would argue are never theoretically far from plantation fields. Financial stakeholders value black bodies for their productive potential and physical prowesses. The league encourages and facilitates rigorous training and disciplining so players can execute seemingly impossible corporeal demands, all in the service of entertainment, money making, and insatiable fandom. In the words of sociologist and activist Harry Edwards, like a piece of equipment, the black athlete is used. While I'm not aware of research, while I am not aware of research that compares the rate of injury between black and white football players, keep that in mind. Heat strokes, ACL and labrum tears, ankle sprains, bone breaks, and concussions are just a few of the other consequences of how these bodies are used. The NFL gains both culturally and financially from black athletic performance. It is the most popular sports league in the United States and the most valuable professional sports league in the world. It is also a league that has exploited its black players for decades. League officials admitted to using race norming, the assumption that black players have a lower baseline cognitive function than white players and suffer less from concussion. In settlements for concussion-related injuries, a former head coach, Brian Flores, has sued the league for racial discrimination in hiring. The NFL's success and popularity should never be disentangled from its persistent anti-black practices. Despite the dismissive arguments of critics that high salaries are payment enough for the injuries that NFL players will likely experience, athletes at other levels don't have this luxury. Public health scholar Kathleen Baczynski details the risks that have always existed in youth tackle football, but professional play cannot be disconnected from college play since this is where professional talent is cultivated. The college system thrives on unpaid athlete labor through a power dynamic that sociologist Aaron Hatton terms status coercion, as coaches manipulate and exploit players to extract value that ultimately leads to revenue for almost every entity involved, except for players themselves. College players suffer the same injuries as professionals, some of which end careers before they even begin. Yet there is often little support to help players imagine themselves outside of their athletic identities and to cultivate alternative careers. I'm not reading the rest of this. This is a whole bunch of foolery. Oh my gosh. So she already said that she has no data that proves that there's a discrepancy with the injuries. Now, yes, there have been situations where they looked at black quarterbacks who have been a lot more athletic and said maybe you will be better off as a running back or a receiver. We saw that as recently with Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson went out there and said, nah, I'm playing quarterback. I'm going to get quarterback pay. And here we are. Now, unfortunately, the Ravens don't want to pay him. But guess what? Somebody's going to pay this man. So, the idea, and I just want to attack the headline. The violence black men experience in football, and she brought up the fact that black men are overrepresented in injury just in the league. I'm sorry. 70% of the NFL is not white. It was a point where almost every single player in the NFL was white. Now, we've seen that athletically, typically the non-white players are a lot more athletic. Are they always that way? No. But typically, the most athletic players in the league happen to be black. It is what it is. And so you have your wide receivers, your cornerbacks, your running backs, and even now your quarterbacks are even more athletic. You're starting to see that your linemen, your offensive linemen, and your defensive linemen are a lot more athletic. It happens. This injury was a freak accident. But what we do not need to do at this time is to make this a racial issue. This is my biggest issue with this entire article. It's taking something that could happen to Cooper Kupp. It could have happened to Tom Brady. It could have happened to any other white player. It could have happened to Younghoe, who was an Asian player. It's like 3 or 4 of them. I can only think of 2 right now, him and Taylor Rapp. So I need for people to really think about what they're going to put out there. And this is a great, like, the writing on this is amazing. But the take is stupid. I'm sorry. Amazing writing for a horrible take. But tell me what y'all think in this whole situation. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace, love, Pop Tarts. Always remember to drink your water. I got some more content coming through for you, as well as a podcast episode should be dropping this weekend on Bounded Podcast. Check that out. So, peace.
Motherfucker, I've been mortified, 45, feeling like a Mordecai. I ain't regular, feel like Jordan wearing 45. Traumatized, victimized, seen some of my die. Knock you off a base with a bat when them niggas slide. Homicide, genocide, televised, emphasize, perpetuating war. Tell that nigga he gon' pick a side. Hood ties from hood lines, my niggas doing dope lines. I'm running to the cops, that's a big